So, for the past few weeks, I've been chatting with cosplayers and content creators over on Twitch. The goal has been to create a behind the scenes look at cosplay of all levels and all types. This video is an edit of my conversation with Geek on Chic, a very talented up and coming cosplayer who I first met a few years ago at New York Comic Con. We had a great conversation around cosplay and confidence, creating content on TikTok, and making cosplay in a small living space. This is just one of many conversations I'll be having with cosplayers, so if you'd like to see more, be sure to subscribe to this channel or head on over to my Twitch and join the conversation live. Here's the interview. Welcome, Geek on Chic. Thanks for joining us. For anybody who's not familiar with you, would you mind introducing yourself?
Of course. So, hi everyone. I'm Geek from Geek and Chic. I have been cosplaying for coming up on my 10-year cosplay anniversary. So, that is very exciting. But I'm very excited to be here chatting with Himbo and everyone else here. So, hello.
I want to just sort of like start out with your cosplay origin story. I want to understand like what inspired you to become a cosplayer, and then from there, what got you hooked on it.
Sure. Well, first, it's a villain origin story. Let's start off that way. It's never the hero. No. Um, but I started coming up 10 years ago now. One of my friends was like, "Hey, geek, I am going to a convention in Manhattan. You want to come with me?" And this was one of the first things that I heard of comic conventions. I never really heard of it before. I was in the nerd scene or the geeky scene, you could say, but I didn't actually dive into it until she had brought it up to me. I did 2 cosplays. One was a Lady Mechanica and the other one was a Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn was my first cosplay I've ever done, and hopefully you don't have any of those photos because goodness was she a mess.
now I need to get
You're
one.
just gonna pull it up right in the side and you're like, "Oh, we actually have it." Like it's Jimmy Kimmel. So she had introduced me to conventions in general, and because I was so enamored with Harley Quinn and just her origin story, I decided that that was a cosplay I was going to do, and a lot of it was hot glue. It was felt hot glue to pre-made pants and a random corset from Hot Topic that did not work out well, but it was a really thrown together closet cosplay, but it was one of my first cosplays. But definitely meeting the community in cosplay and getting an idea of who these people are and that there's a whole other world that I never even knew struck a chord with me and has kept me going all these years.
And so you talked about like you're not right now, you're not as proud of this cosplay looking back, but at the time, did you feel it while you were wearing it?
Yes, at the time, I loved it, and I have a play-by-play in my memory of meeting Yaya Han in that cosplay and saying, "You inspired me," and a part of me is like, that was probably a look of dread in her eyes when she saw what I was dressed as. I'm glad for where I started. I don't regret where I started, but we all know we can do better after looking back at those cosplays.
I know you've gone on to actually do some costuming work in theater and at some Ren fairs, and so you've actually went from starting this hobby for the first time to actually doing some professional work as well, right?
Yeah, so when I went into college, I took on theater as a degree and was the background of everything. I was not an actor on stage, though sometimes cosplay does bring that actor in you out. I was actually costuming. So for so many shows, I was working as a costume designer or a stitcher, and that after college came into reality for me. So then I was able to do Renaissance fairs and work behind the scenes doing alterations and fitting actors into actual outfits and having them leave my costume shop with something I either made to fit them or made from scratch and have them wear and walk out and interact with people. My biggest fear, and this had happened when I first started sewing, was seeing someone else on stage in something I made because if I made it and I wore it and it fell apart, I can handle that embarrassment or that oops, a little unofficial slip of anything. Like I could handle that because I made it. It was my project. But watching someone else wear something was the first time that it really became a reality to me. From that one day 10 years ago, it has just continued through with me to being able to work on something much bigger and grander than before.
So you're a Twitch streamer. You're also active on Instagram and on TikTok. And I believe TikTok's your biggest platform. Is that correct?
Yes, TikTok is my biggest platform. I do have some up and downs with videos, as everyone does, but I do have, I believe, 25.4K followers on TikTok. I started posting when everyone was in quarantine as well, and it kind of blew up from there with people wanting to either know about sewing, watch videos of lip syncs and cosplay, because there's something about pretending a character dies and you're reacting is what people love to see. They love those little short films.
For people who are interested in doing cosplay on TikTok, what are some of like what advice would you have? What are some learnings or any stories you might have there?
So for people who are interested in cosplaying on TikTok, when you're in that cosplay, making 2, 3, 4, 5 videos, I actually will plan out if I know I have time to cosplay this weekend, I will save 5 audios or 6 audios, plan out what I'm doing for those audios, and just record them all in one go. So even if it's a cosplay that I did full body paint for or prosthetics, I will record a video of me taking off said prosthetics because those are also videos that tend to get traction. And sticking with current trends, sounds that are coming up 1 or 2 or 3 times on your feed, make sure to save those because if you can get with the trend or whatever social media is working right now, jump on that bandwagon. I know I did that with my most recent makeup test as Hunter from the Owl House, and I'm still getting follows and likes from that video. It doesn't have to be well thought out story timeline pieces that have 6 parts. It can just be you lip syncing as you put makeup on, and something that simple can work.
We have a comment in chat commenting on your Master Sword and Hylian Shield. I do see those behind you. Do you want to
Yes.
talk about that a little bit?
More recent project here. My Master Sword, which I love, this was one of my first sword builds that I've done before. And this was also my first centered pipe. So I actually have a small copper rod in the center of this. And it's the first time that I've done something with so much 3D texture on it. This was recently for 2022 PAX East. I was cosplaying Link from Twilight Princess with Universe of Emily as my Zelda. And this was my Hylian Shield. This was my first airbrush project as well. So this year I really wanted to work on different materials as well as getting into different skill sets.
So what are you currently working on?
Oh, great question. I have 3 cosplays that I am currently working on for PAX East 2023. There may be a 4th one, but she is time sensitive, so we will open that bag up when we get there. Currently, I am working on Fern from Critical Role. So if anyone is a Critter or Critical Role fan, it is a live streamed Dungeons and Dragons campaign, originated on Geek and Sundry, but now is independent as Critical Role. Highly recommend, but I am doing Fern. She is a fey creature, so I'm very excited to be making hooves and a dress out of chiffon and horns and a giant staff with snake heads that will hopefully glow and smoke. My second cosplay is Hera from Star Wars Rebels, and I'm very excited to start her headpiece. There's a lot that will go into it, such as foam work and painting, and even working with some batten, which is something I've never done before. And the third solidified cosplay for PAX East is Megara from Hades. She was supposed to debut at New York Comic Con, but things came up and she wasn't finalized and wasn't finished. And there was a lot of remaking that I needed to do. So if you have seen, I am currently working on the understructure for her wig. I will be over 6 feet at this con, and I am very proud of it because Megara exudes big woman energy, and that's what I like to bring to cons. So those are my big 3.
Woman energy.
So you're the himbo, I'm the waifu. That's what I kind of feel right now.
That's perfect. Do you have any of, because I know I've seen like pictures of your hooves and stuff. Do you have any of that nearby that you can show?
Yes, I do have my hooves. Give me one moment to grab them. So these are my current hooves that I'm working on. I have almost basically dancer shoes that have a stainless steel insole in the heel. So the actual shoe starts here and ends here with the arch. So I don't need any support structure. Then I've added foam clay and Warbler to the top here, painted it, and added skating boots or skating tights to cover the boots. So I removed the laces entirely and re-supported the shoe structure so the tongue of the shoe won't bounce or bend. And I can fully walk in these as if they are regular shoes. And I do have some, of course, moss and hand dyed the tights myself as well to give that ombre from green to brown, and hot glued some lovely moss onto this. So this was a project that I wasn't really sure what or how to do. So I really reached out to some other cosplayers as an idea of how to make hoof shape or how to even get certain textured. And since I did recently get an airbrush, the airbrush is now my best friend to help with things like this.
So you mentioned your work table, and I know you moved kind of recently, and when I was chatting with you earlier, you don't really have a specific work area, right? So can you talk a little bit about how you manage to create these things just in a normal apartment?
Yeah. So for me, for jobs, I definitely move quite often, so it's not uncommon for me to be sewing out of the back of my trunk. So I am currently in an apartment. Organization and space are the biggest thing here because as much as I want to do like a 10-foot tall sword from Pyramid Head and make that big cosplay, I don't have the space. So being conscious of the space is very important. Working in such a small space can get somewhat difficult, and I did make out of a cardboard box, like a paint booth, I should say, so I can spray paint near a door or airbrush near a door with my ventilator on, but not catch anything on my wall because, of course, I am renting and I do not want to pay damage for paints that I'm doing inside.
I know that feeling all too
That is
well. So
for
obviously,
sure.
so and when you have to be more precious about your space, and you obviously can't just grab any sort of tool you want, what's your favorite tool? Like, what can you not live without?
I have a small Dremel. Everything stays in its little carrying case. And a lot of my downstairs neighbors think it's a lot of dirt that they're finding on their porch. It is foam pieces, but between you and me, guys, no one knows that. We're not gonna tell them.
Do you have any Dremel horror stories?
I don't have a Dremel horror story, but I do have a wood cutting horror story
Okay,
if you would like to hear.
I
Um,
love a horror story.
So I once a time ago cosplayed Shinobu Kocho from Demon Slayer, which I love her for all of my life. And this was before I realized I could do a center rod in my sword. So she was actually my first sword that I did with foam, uh, wood rods, and then Warbler as well. But this was the first time that I was trying to figure it out and I couldn't didn't make sense in my mind that I could use one solid wood rod instead of multiple tiny ones. I don't know why. My brain did not make this. This is when I say think things through. But I was on stream, I was live on TikTok, and I had just finished saying how important it is to have safety gear on because someone was ranting in my chat that I was being unprofessional because you don't look cute with safety goggles. Okay, I'm here for safety, not attractiveness. I'm still a 10. But what ended up happening was after I did a whole spiel of how safety goggles are the best thing you need and I never work without them, I was using basically like wood shears to cut through the Dremel pieces. And one piece was just a little too short. So when I cut it, it flew off the table and pierced through my glasses that I was wearing, right where my eye was on stream. So there was a whole bunch of people watching me just go, "Oh my god, did you see that?" With the wood piece sticking out of my goggles. There was a moment of silence where chat stopped, and I stopped, and I was confused on why I couldn't see out of part of this, and I took the glasses off. You could just see the wood stuck right into it.
So there's been a little bit of a theme. We've been chatting a little bit. Like at the beginning, you talked about how you were super confident in your first cosplay, but now in hindsight, you were like, "Oh no, oh no, no, no." And but now, but it seems like that confidence has sort of carried with you, where you're like, "It's fine. I almost killed myself. That's kind of a funny story." I think the conversation around cosplay confidence is important because I think it takes a lot to step out there and put yourself out there and to, be a cosplayer. But I guess like, would you say on like a scale of 1 to 10, how confident of a cosplayer do you think you are? And where do you think, because I'm assuming it's going to be on the higher end, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but where does that confidence come from?
So you are obviously very correct when I say that if I were to scale myself as a cosplayer and my confidence, I would definitely say an 8.5 or a 9 with my confidence in myself because there's always room for improvement to get me to a 10. But it definitely comes back to my first cosplay. It was in a time in my life where I was not necessarily the most popular person. I did sports. I was captain of my swim team. I was in 20 clubs when I was back in school. But even doing that, I was still at heart a geek, and not everyone saw that. And so getting into cosplay helped me fulfill who I am because I realized that everyone loves Harley Quinn for her sporadicness. Everyone loves Wonder Woman for her confidence. And I could pick these characters, cosplay them, and almost take on the elements that I truly loved out of them. It has just grown with me now. It's no longer this is Wonder Woman's confidence, but this is Geek's confidence.
Now that you have this superpower that you've developed, this is an origin story. What is next for you? Where do you want to take this? What are your goals with Geek on Chic?
I truly want Geek and Geek to be memorable. I have big cosplays coming up. I am working to be a guest at a local convention. I am currently in the process of finalizing podcasts under the Geek and Chic name. If I can, I would have it go on forever and I continue to make cosplays and go to conventions and build a community that will just support each other with it. So, thank you guys for joining. I am Geek from Geek and Chic. I'm an international cosplayer and I do some Twitch streams for fun. You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and TikTok. And I am just here geeking out.
So I'd really like to thank Geek for coming by. It's always great getting to chat with her. I posted her socials in the description below, so be sure to give her lots of support. And if you'd like to share your cosplay on your stream, or maybe appear in one of these videos, reach out to me on any of my socials and, we'll discuss. And as always, be sure to like and subscribe to this video, and, well, I'll see you all next time.